Warning: the following content was created by a trained professional. Trained in emotional damage, impulsive choices, and romanticizing red flags with poetic flair. Side effects may include spontaneous laughter, temporary clarity, questionable texts, and the urge to reevaluate your entire situationship. And nothing's random except everything.
Welcome back to Everything at Random. Need that background music. Sorry. Another episode. And hopefully I didn't lose you on the last one. If you're still here, you already know we're about to dive into something like random, but also personal that's on my mind. And I don't know if this is a public service announcement or a public cry for help, but the question is fucking simple. Can exes really be friends? Not we were friends at first bullshit version, that fairy tale shit that you like to tell people. Not that we're doing it for the kids situation. I mean raw, unfiltered. We've seen each other naked. We argued about the dumbest shit. Friends. And before you answer, I'm not here to judge because I've been on both sides of the fence. I was like, I can make this work. This is all right. And I also was like, I will never speak to this fucking person again. Until I end up doing it again, like an idiot. But so here's the deal. We're going to break down the rules, the unspoken lines you're not supposed to cross, the ways this can go wrong, and the rare moments, fucking very rare moments it actually works. Okay? Very rare moments. And I'm going to ask you guys some questions. And I want you to really fucking think about it. I'm going to give you my personal story of fucking, of course. You know what I mean? Like, what is it without my personal fucking twist on it? The reason why I bring this up, and eventually, we'll talk about my back and forth and my I should know better experience. But all right, before I say that, I just got to throw this out here. I just got to throw this. Are we actually playing friends when we should just admit we still want each other? Like, if I like you as a person and you like me as a person, and we've already survived the bullshit, I'm over your shit, you're over my shit, what the fuck are we waiting for? You get what I'm saying? So grab your drink, grab your hookah, drink your coffee, or whatever you're doing. Just sit back and enjoy and listen. I'm gonna drop some fucking rules for you, all right? Let's get this one thing straight. If you and your ex are trying to be friends, there's no need to be there is a need to be rules. You should have rules. Not just a fake we're trying to figure it out as we go. There shouldn't be no loopholes, no gray area rules. There should just be standard fucking rules if you're just trying to be friends. Because without them, you're basically slow dancing into the same fucking thing that you know what I mean, you said you wouldn't do again, but you're kind of doing it. All right? Rule number 1, no overnights. I don't care how platonic you think you are. I don't care if you're just crashing on the couch. Because guess what? The couch becomes the bed, and the bed becomes cuddling, and the cuddling becomes comfortability. It's just one thing after another crossing lines. And you know what happens. But that's if that's what you want to do. You just want to keep it friends. Rule 2, no emotional exclusivity. You don't get to be my emotional crutch at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or whatever. Those late night texts, the late night calls. I can't sleep. I had a few drinks. You know, those are dangerous. That's not friendship. That's just like relationship leftovers. You know what I mean? Rule 3, you don't block each other's dating life. If you're really friends, I should be able to tell you about someone I'm seeing. You should be able to tell me someone you're seeing without catching feelings. If the thought of me like fucking around with somebody kind of pisses you off and makes you feel unease, guess what? We're not really friends. We're just lying to ourselves. Okay? Rule number 4, no inside jokes. That makes everybody feel uncomfortable. Let's say if we was hanging out in a group setting and we start referencing like stupid little things and looking at each other and inside jokes of that one night or that trip or whatever, and you're telling people about it, and it's only something that we can understand, that we can laugh about, but when you're just telling others, that's not friendship. That's you reminding everyone that we were something, and we also reminding each other that we have this history. Okay? Rule number 5, you know your role in each other's lives. If you're the ex who calls when you're drunk, or like this, you need help with this, or like there's a bug in your apartment, or you know what I mean, there's always something. Like, and if you share like these emotional things and you just let loose on each other, which is great, that's a great thing to have. But guess what? You're an unpaid emotional / handyman hybrid, still trying to collect on relationship debt. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. Even with these rules, people break them. Hell, I broke every single one. Same week, same day, within a couple of hours. Okay? But if you really want to try friends with the ex thing, these rules are the bare minimum survival kit. Without them, you're just in a messy situationship without the label. And let's be real, half of you already broke 3 of these rules before I even finished. So now that we've got our little friends with X survival kit laid out, let's be honest, I doesn't play by the rules, and neither do I, or probably you either. Because the moment you start trying to define what's okay and what's not, reality comes in and hits you with a yeah, but what if we were friends before we were dating? Yeah, but what if we've got mutual friends and we just disappear from each other's lives? I can understand that. Yeah, but what if you still owe each other money, or even worse, like furniture and shit like that? Okay. I understand that shit. I hear you. So I'm going to ask you guys, and I'm talking to you, listening in your car, at work, in your house. And when you're at work, you're probably pretending to look fucking busy. Let's be real. Okay? I'm going to ask you some questions. Can you honestly handle your ex dating someone new and not feeling some type of way? I know I fucking can't. Okay? I know that for sure. It doesn't even make me feel good when I hear about it. Like, what's mine is mine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear that. And I know people live their lives, but you don't. If you care for somebody, you don't want to hear that shit. Would you tell your new partner, or somebody you're talking to, or friends, that you still hang out with your ex? Or do you just forget to mention it? Because you know how that fucking sounds, right? These are questions. All right. Do you really want to be friends? Or are you just scared to cut the cord completely? And here's my favorite. Are you playing friends when you both know you should just get back together? That last one stings. Okay? Because that's the one people don't like to admit. You've seen past all the mess. You still laugh together. You still talk This is why you should just be like, fuck it. Just call it what it is. Putting up all these barriers and shit like that, I hear you. Okay? I'm sorry. Just call it what it is. But here's where the gray area starts. You know what I mean? You start to, let's say your ex calls you. They're crying at 1 a.m. Something happened. You answer because you're not heartless. Could be them drunk. There could be anything. Now suddenly you're back in that emotional space you swore you left behind. You're comforting them. You're leaning on them. They might be leaning on you. Before you know it, you're back in the old rhythm of us. You know what I mean? Or maybe you run into each other at a party. You're both a couple of drinks in and the music is good. And just for a second, you forget you broke up for a reason. That little flicker of the what if comes back and boom, you're back to breaking the rules you swore that were set in stone, because these things happen. There's these moments, these things that these people see in you or saw in you and still see in you sometimes, that like it just happens and flickers and it's great. You see, it's not always about attraction. Sometimes it's about a habit. Sometimes it's about that comfort. Sometimes it's about not wanting to feel like a stranger to someone who knows you better than anyone else. And that's a dangerous place to be in, because friendship with an ex isn't just about avoiding physical lines. It's about not getting emotionally stuck in the past. And it's too hard to navigate through, you know? You ever look around and realize, like, damn, this doesn't look like a friendship. This looks like a relationship without the paperwork. You're hanging out, you're grabbing dinner, watching movies, you're texting good morning, sending good night texts or whatever. You got some little inside jokes, you laugh at each other. You already met each other's family. You know what the other person likes to drink or their favorite ice cream or whatever it is. You have this down pat. Come on. But when somebody says, so are you guys getting back together? You both instantly turn into like Olympic jumpers. You're like hopping over this bullshit. Like, nah, we're just friends. We're just friends. Oh, so you're telling me you're just friends who accidentally sleep in the same bed sometimes, maybe. You're just friends who have deep conversations here and there about life and trauma. You're just friends who would low-key get jealous if the other one starts dating someone new, you know? Right. Sure. Totally normal friendship. Totally normal. You see, this is where it gets messy, because when you're doing relationship things without actually calling it a relationship, it starts to feel like you're running a free trial of love without committing to the subscription. And here's the problem with free trials. Eventually, one person wants the full version and the other is still clicking on remind me fucking later. And here's the kicker. If the chemistry is still there, if you're laughing, vibing, and feel comfortable around each other, why aren't you together? The answer usually lies somewhere between I don't trust it and I don't want to lose this comfort. But comfort can be dangerous. Comfort can keep you stuck in something that's good enough to keep you happy, but not enough to help you grow. It's like eating McDonald's like every day. It'll fill you up, but it's not exactly nourishing for you. You know what I mean? So I have to ask this. Are we friends, or am I just emotionally emotional safety net? Am I filling the role of a partner without the title because it's easier for the both of us? And if we did put the title back on it, would it actually work this time? Or are we just romanticizing the highlight reels of our past? Because the truth is, if you strip away the nostalgia, if you strip away the late night comfort, if you strip away but we know each other so well, sometimes what's left is just two people too scared to fully let go. And yeah, maybe that's enough for now. But let's be real. In the long run, it's either going to evolve into something real or collapse under the weight of everything unsaid. Because there are things that are unsaid. Sometimes it's like you leave a message and it's just left unread. And you're just looking like, all right, so you're going to just skim over that, not notice like I said this. But if you say that, I'm not going to even, you know what? Crazy. You know, I wish I could sit here and pretend this is all theory. Like I'm just talking about exes and friendships in some universal, safe, detached way. But nah, this is personal because for me, it's been a lot of back and forth. And I'll be real, a lot of that is on me. I want more from her. I still do. That's my fault. I can dress it up however I want. Say it's just friendship. Say I'm just cool with the boundaries. But the truth is, I've never stopped loving this woman. I started this whole podcast. Started because of her. You know what I mean? Like if you listen to it, I'm talking about her. Trying to figure out what life looked like without her in it. And the messed up thing, even after all this time, like I haven't found anybody to live up to who she is in my eyes. We've reconnected more than once. And every time it's the same dance. We talk, we laugh, we sip into that old little rhythm, like no time has passed. And then something happens, a conversation. Usually it's me asking for a little bit too much or bringing up our past relationship and her saying she cared. You know what I mean? She cares. But one time she told me she cared for someone else deeply. And I had to sit there and pretend it didn't bother me, you know? And yeah, I'm a fucking adult. We're all adults. I get it. She lives her life. I lived mine. We've both grown. But that doesn't erase how I feel in the moment. It doesn't erase the sting. And she can just glance over it like it's nothing. Because from her side, maybe it is nothing. But for mine, it's a punch to the gut. I have to swallow it with a fucking smile. One time, you know, we started talking and she flat out told me maybe we were reconnecting on the wrong reasons. Because at the moment, it was a comforting distraction because she just got out of a relationship. And then when that ended, she made it clear that this wouldn't happen or couldn't happen again. And I just said, okay. So I stepped back, but somehow I end up back here again. We always find our way, each other kind of talking, kind of like creeping on each other or whatever. I came back to Jersey and tried to do this friends thing. And yeah, on paper, sounds fine. We talk, update each other on each other's lives, hang out a little, and it feels right in those moments until it doesn't. Until I'm reminded of the boundaries I'm not supposed to cross. And you see, here's where I mess myself up. Because every time we spend time together, I start to thinking maybe, just maybe, you'll see this could actually work again. I start thinking that if I'm patient, if I keep on showing up, I should realize it's worth trying. And that's my own overthinking and maybe my own, self-sabotage. So I step away. I tell myself enough is enough, but then I end up circling back. And every time, and it's not like it happens a lot, but like it's been happening. And I'm reminded of why it's so hard to move on, because when I'm with her, it's easy, it's fun, it's safe. I can sit in complete silence with her and feel at peace. I can be goofy, laugh, make stupid jokes, listen to music, watch movies. Hell, sometimes I'll just crash at her place. Maybe same bed. Nothing happens. Nothing at all. And in the morning, we'll have breakfast, listen to NPR in the background. And for a split second, it feels like everything is perfect. But that's the problem. It feels like something is missing, though. Because something is. I know deep down, she probably doesn't talk about me to anyone. She doesn't tell her friends or her family or, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with him, because I'm that ex. The one it wouldn't make sense like to go back to. The one who's been painted as a bad guy in certain chapters of her story. And maybe I deserve that. And I respect that and I understand that. But here's the truth. If she called me, I drop everything for her, no hesitation. And that's why this friendship is dangerous for me, because I'm not just her friend. I'm the friend who still wants more. I'm the friend who compares every woman I meet to her, and no one fucking ever comes close. And maybe she knows that. Maybe she knows I'm not going anywhere. Maybe that's the part of the reason she feels safe having me in her life, because no matter what, I'll show up. But at the same time, she tells me I'm not saying never. I'm saying not right now. That's not where she's at. And that's where I'm stuck, in this limbo where I'm like either waiting for the day she changes her mind or the day she tells me she met the guy of her dreams. So what do? I stay, I go, I try to date someone else and pretend it's not killing me inside. I don't have all the answers. All I know, being around her reminds me of the best parts of us and what I would truly want in a partner. But it also makes it nearly impossible to move forward. And maybe that's the most dangerous part of it all. Do you I don't know. Moving on. So here's where I gotta turn the mic a little bit. Not just to you listeners, but to myself too. Because I keep asking, what are we really doing? If you're friends with an ex, and I mean really friends, not we just don't hate each other anymore type of friends, what's the end game? Are you generally maintaining connection out of the mutual respect and shared history? Or are you leaving the door cracked open just in case? And for me, I hate to admit it, I know my answer. Yeah, I'm leaving the door open. Hell, I'm sometimes sitting at the fucking doorway holding it like, come on. I'll be right here. If you change your mind, like, shit is good here. I know that's not healthy. But how do you let go of something that feels alive? So let me throw these out there. If you're friends with an ex, do you ever compare people you date to them? Do you secretly hope they'll come back around? Have you ever stopped dating someone because they didn't measure up to what your ex is? And if you're being really honest, would you drop everything for them if they called? Because that's the tricky part. Being friends with an ex isn't always a bad thing, but it's not always as innocent as we like to pretend it is. Now, I'm going to get real with some numbers here. According to YouGov survey, about 49% of Americans say they've stayed friends with an ex. But here's where it gets interesting. About 15% of those friendships turn into a relationship again. And out of those relationships, about only 12% actually last long term. So yeah, statistically, most people who keep an ex in their lives don't end up back together. Sometimes the friendship works, sometimes it fades, and sometimes it's just a slow bleed. You don't even realize it's happening until you're drained. And maybe that's where I'm at. I'm holding on to something that makes me happy in the moment, but quietly keeps me from building something new. So maybe the bigger question isn't, can exes be friends? It's, should they? And if they can, should there be rules, boundaries, a time limit? Or do we just keep doing this dance until someone finally says enough's enough? I don't know your answer. Hell, I barely know mine. But I do know this. You can call it friendship. You can call it closure. You can call it maturity. But if your heart's still in it, you're not just friends. You're just in waiting. So I'm gonna close this up. You know, the funny thing about the phrase just friends is that it sounds so clean, so safe, so manageable. We're just friends. It's just friends. Like, don't worry, nothing to see here. We're just friends. But when it's an ex, there's nothing just about it. Because every inside joke, every comfortable silence, every random text at midnight, it's layered, it's loaded, it's history with a fucking pulse. And I think that's the hardest part. You can lie to everybody else and say, we're over. But your heart knows the truth. The truth is, some people never really get over. You just learn to live without them until you don't. I've learned that being friends with someone you've loved isn't the challenge. It's pretending that you don't still feel it. Pretending their laughs don't hit different. Pretending your body doesn't remember theirs. Pretending you don't measure everyone else against them and find them lacking. The numbers I gave you earlier, they're cold, they're math, but what they don't measure is hope. Hope that maybe one day when we're both healed, when you've both grown, when the time finally lines up, maybe the stars align and everything, you'll find your way back. Or maybe you won't. And maybe that's the point. That some connections aren't meant to be neatly loaded or labeled or tied up or whatever. They're just meant to be lived in the uncomfortable in-between. That space where you're not together, but you're not really apart either. So, can exes be friends? Yeah. But can they just be friends? That's a different question. One I'm still trying to figure out. And until I do, I'll still be there.